Okay, hello. Welcome back to my Sunday Live series. I am Dr. Sarah Louie, aka the Hip Doc. And for those of you that have been following, this is just my space to talk about all things running, rehab, and hips and kind of where those things collide. And also, for those of you that maybe have been following or new, I work and operate as a solutions based physical therapist. So, my passion and my purpose in my career is to help women runners with hip pain return to running pain free. And oftentimes, when I say I'm a solutions based provider, I get this like sideways look, which is totally fair. It's really just like counter what the medical world is doing right now. So I wanted to bring on one of my solutions-based hype men, Dr. Kevin Melendez of Swish Physical Therapy and Performance, and just have him talk to us about what this looks like in his practice and all of the ways that his patients are just crushing it. So let me bring him on. This is always the hardest part for me, so we'll just see here. Doctor, here, invite. Okay, and then we'll just wait. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. How's your Sunday been so far?
It's good. I have Friendsgiving coming up, so I'm excited for that. Right after this, it's gonna have some fun with the friends, so I'm excited.
Nice. Those are the best. You get like three Thanksgivings per each, I don't know, Thanksgiving week.
Best time of the year, in my opinion.
I think so too. You can't go wrong with good food.
Except I'm
Yes.
training for Ironman, so I kind of have to be a little bit more like reserved in what I can eat, but it's okay. It's for a
Yes.
good reason.
Choosy, yes, but also food is fuel, so it's good.
hmm
It
hmm
is good. All right, Kevin, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what your business is and how it runs and kind of who you are.
Wow, I wish I could answer that in like two minutes, but if I had to give you the kind of the quick rundown, I am
Yes.
the head physical therapist and owner of Swish Physical Therapy and Performance in Oviedo, Orlando, Florida, where I run a solutions-based physical therapy practice. It's
Yes.
based around athletes, which is people first when they think of that, they think like, professional athletes. And yeah, you do have your, 1% of the clientele of that. But primarily when I think of an athlete, it's anyone who has an active, um, who has the idea of wanting to have an active lifestyle. So anyone can be an athlete. It's just more so, do you have the mindset to want to be better every day and want to move better every day?
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
You see so many, or sometimes we get to see patients who are maybe, I don't know, older adults and just still crushing it. And it's so fun to treat those people.
The best.
Yes. And what about you? What do you like to do outside of your business?
So swish, the name comes from it's a basketball terminology, right? When you
Hmm.
make the ball through the net. So my whole life I played basketball. I would consider that my main sport. Even though it's funny because if you were to see me in real life, I'm 5'7", 5'8" on a good day. But I promise you, I played basketball in my life, and so that's the one thing. Definitely working out, hanging out with friends,
Yeah,
family. I'm a big friends family kind of day. Like if I'm not working, I'm with my friends and family.
good. That's so good. I
Mhm.
love that. Tell us a little bit about what solutions based physical therapy is and how this works in your practice.
Yeah, what makes it so interesting is I started out my clinic right out of PT school. So I think it was
Yeah,
6 months after I got my license. And during that time, I was struggling with the idea of like I can't compete with insurance. Like
yeah,
it's just like if you just look at the amount of money that you make from a per hour standpoint, it was impossible to compete. They have that leverage. And
yeah,
so I had to think about, okay, what can I do to find my way of survival? And
of
I
course.
came across Greg Todd, which I was fortunate enough to think and to collaborate with, and he brought this idea of a solutions based therapy, and
Yes.
that to me it automatically made sense to me. And so
Hmm.
solutions based therapy is pretty much it's I like to say it's reverse engineering. So
Okay.
when I have a client, um, we spend our first time together like legit talking to get to know each other about what's important to them and what are they trying to accomplish. So my idea that it's like it's not just I want to get up and stand up or I want to go to the restroom, or it's like no, that quality of life stuff is definitely going to happen in terms of
Yeah.
like your ADLs. But it's like, what are you actually trying to accomplish? A, I would love to walk down the aisle with my daughter when she gets married in 3 months,
Yes.
right? I would love to run a 5K for the first time in my life. Hey, I would
Yes.
love to be able to return to working out my legs in the gym regularly since I haven't done it in 10 years. Like the
Hmm.
result stuff that we could objectively go, okay, if we get this done, this done, this done, we've accomplished what you came here to do, and
Yes.
that allows us to have commitment both ways, and it makes me feel like I'm working for the client, not insurances. So
Of
um,
course.
that's pretty much what the premise is.
I love it. I love when you said the example of like being able to walk, your daughter down the aisle or
Hmm.
whatever. It just takes it that one step further. And then from the patient's end, it's like, okay, even though I'm really busy today and it's really hard to fit PT in my life, it's like my why is bigger than my
Hmm.
excuses, and
Yes,
I'm gonna show up for myself, even if life is busy.
100%. And it's ultimate buy-in.
Mhm.
Like they realize I'm actually working for them. Like so that's what's really important to me.
Yeah. Um, I also really like when you said your first visit is not just like sitting there and doing objective measures, like how much
Mm.
does your hamstring contract? It's like
Yeah.
figuring out, really what their goals are. How have you felt like that has changed your like patient rapport with your clients?
Dramatically, like
Yeah.
they know that I know what's important to them, right? So they have to be vulnerable enough for them to open up towards me, and then I have to be vulnerable enough to open up to them as well. So you build this immediate connection, and I always say, like us as doctors, we're one of the few doctor professions where we spend time with patients. So
Oh yeah.
if we don't understand that premise, then we're not going to give the best care, and they're not going to be open to patient education. They're not going to be open to exercises that they do at home, and so on and so forth. So it is like so important to me for me to build that relationship. And it's why I truthfully, since I am emotionally invested, it's why I don't take on more than 15 people at a time on my caseload.
Yes. Yes.
And that's really important to me. So, whereas traditionally I was seeing 22 different people a day, right?
Hmm.
So this time I'm seeing 15 people in a caseload every
Yes.
3 months, like it's not that demanding when it comes to like emotionally spreading me too thin.
Of course. Yeah. And then when that patient reaches out to you on the weekend that, oh my gosh, I'm having a huge flare up, you're not like, I cannot talk to you. You're like, because you're so drained. You're like, yes, like, of course. You're one of my 15. Like, you're on my team. I
Hmm.
got you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
How are you finding that solutions based PT is able to, or how is it different from
Mm.
like traditional PT? Like,
Oh
lay it out.
man. So the best way, so this is because I've trial and error of trying to figure this out of how to explain to people
Yeah.
is this is the best way I can put it. Traditional based therapy, outpatient, they work based on your copay. Okay. So
Hmm.
they get paid every single time you come in,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So therefore, they pretty much get paid to keep you there as much as possible,
Yes.
right? What I'm doing, problems based solution, is I'm actually getting paid or incentivized to get you better quicker, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
technically, if I get you better faster, then therefore I got paid more per visit,
Of course.
right? Versus traditional, if they keep you there longer, they're getting paid longer. They're getting paid more.
Yes.
So that's the best way I go is I work for results, they work for copays.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so true. And yeah, that's really, really true. Um, do you also have the analogy of fine dining? Is that you?
That is me. That is
Okay.
me.
Can you
Where did
share?
you hear that
Because
from?
I don't know. Maybe on your podcast with Greg,
Yeah.
or maybe from my Greg. I don't know. But this is my favorite analogy of all time. So if you could also tell us that one, I would love to hear it.
Yeah, and it was actually given to me by one of my clients, that we were like
Really?
talking about, yeah, that we were talking about, their experience with me and Swish and everything. And they were like, Kevin, it's like going to fine dining. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, when I've gone to other therapy clinics, it felt like fast food. Like I was just kind of just going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and it kind of felt unhealthy. And coming to me is more so like a fine dining experience. So, quote unquote, yeah, let's say you're gonna pay more, right?
Yeah,
But once you've
maybe.
made that commitment, you're looking forward to the experience, right? So now
Yes.
it's not so just like when you go to when once you've made the commitment to go, hey, I'm gonna pay for this fine dining experience that I have, then you're like excited, right? Like you're like,
Yes.
oh man, I can't wait to see what the waitress or waiter experience is going to be. I can't wait to see what's going to happen when I come in, or what conversations I'm going to have, or what's the food going to taste like, quote unquote, like the exercises, or what's going to be different, what's going to be on the music playlist that day. Like it's
Yes.
literally like everything is catered to create the best experience possible every single time the client comes in, and that wasn't something that I was like, oh, I'm just doing this so people enjoy. It's like based on research. If you look at research, evidence-based practice, the most important thing is client experience, because it
Yeah.
allows them to be open for patient education, which
Mhm.
therefore is the highest grade of evidence for treating somebody. So it's like,
Yeah.
which completely gets overvalued, and it gets tried, or undervalued, but it gets tried in traditional. They just can't do it. They can't do it
Yeah.
correctly when you have 3 people per hour. Like, it's just not
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. It's really not their fault. They're trying as hard as they can. It's just the system
Hmm.
that we're operating in.
Hmm.
What kind of things do you do at your practice that feels like fine dining for your clients?
Oh, I love this question. So first off, when they come in, they feel like the entire hour that they're in there, or whatever the time that they're there,
Yeah.
is dedicated for them,
Yes.
right? So I have about a 1,200 square foot facility, and when they come in, it's just me and the client,
I
right?
love it.
Like the
Yeah.
entire gym. So and then they also feel like they can communicate and talk, and
Yeah.
be and speak about what's going on with them through the injury, and how so they feel open to communicate. And then there's the fun things, like I have, like it's a gym, like if you look at my,
Yes.
I have
Yes.
squat racks. I got a full blown
The
gym with a
legit.
turf. Yeah, and at the same time there's candles that are lit. You know what I'm saying? So you literally
I love
come in,
it.
and there's sensor there, and everything, and it's always clean, and it's always organized, and uh you know without, customer service is so important. So there's always water, warm or room temperature or cold, and I'll give it to you before you even ask for it. Like
Yeah.
those little experiences that I try to make. And then in addition to also communication. So, I have a business partner as well. So whenever someone messages us, we try to get back to them like rather quickly,
Yes.
which is important, like a fine dining experience, right? Oh, something's
Yeah.
going on. They have to fix it right away. That way they can, make sure that people are still enjoying their time.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And you're able to provide that quality because you're only seeing like 50 people at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have a similar but opposite experience. I
Yeah.
like some of my primary clientele are women who just gave birth or like
Mm.
trying to get back to running postpartum. And for me, these women are so busy taking care of their babies
Yeah.
and like can't really leave home that it's like it's actually better for us to do virtual visits
I
because
love
it's
that.
more uh, conducive to their schedule. And it's like, I don't know, one of my girlfriends is like, the only time I can work out is 10 p.m. at night. And it's
Mm.
like, well, you're not going to come into PT at 10 p.m. at night. So let me give you your programming. And then the next day, if you have any questions, just shoot them
Yep.
over.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's just, we're able to be really, really specific to what our clients' needs are based on the season that they're in.
Imagine if you had 100 people asking you that. It would be like impossible. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I love it.
Makes my head spin thinking about it. Do you feel like there's any ways that solutions-based PT is a disservice to people, or like barriers that you run into with trying to work with um, clients?
Oh man, disservice. I can't think of a disservice, and I know that's like I'm really trying to process how I can think of something. Well, what I will say is the barrier of it is that it's so different,
Yeah.
that it can be hard for people to wrap their heads around. So, um,
Yes. Yes.
not often, uh, I can go up to somebody and say, like, if everything worked out, perfect case scenario, best case scenario working with me, what would you want it to look like? And you'll be surprised how often people can't process, like, wait, you want me to
Yeah.
think about best case scenario for me? Like, like what's
Yes.
important to me, and they literally can't like tell you. And
Yeah.
so I tell them when I have that experience, I'm like, look, when you realize what's important to you, then come back to me and we'll have this conversation. So that's
Yes.
probably the barrier, is that we spend a lot of time in society not thinking about what's important to us and our mental health and our spiritual health and our financial health and all that kind of stuff, that sometimes it can be really hard for them to really go, hey, um, this is what I'm trying to get done. And that's
Hmm.
where you have to kind of push and pry to figure out what's important to them. So that's probably one of the most difficult things you got to work with.
Yeah, totally. Is that kind of the main question that you ask them? Like, best case scenario, what would this look like?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, look, if you want, what would the best case scenario look like working with me?
Yeah, I
And
love it.
that's what I hope to provide. That's now my task.
That's so good. Yeah. I'll always ask my patients, like, what is your goal? Like, what kind of things do you want to be able to get out of this? Especially like in traditional care, that's a question that we'll ask. And I have so many people that are just like dumbfounded when I ask them that question. And they're like, I have no idea what my goals are, which is, it's crazy. And it's important to push and understand, like, what does being able to balance or run or
Hmm.
whatever look like to you?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, do you have any, you can share a couple if you'd like, but do you have any client success stories that you wanna share with us?
I would love to. I have two off top of my head. One is this gentleman who came in. Um, he came to me. He said, "Kev, like I have knee pain or bilateral knee pain. So both knees hurt, back pain, and I would love to just be able to like go up and down stairs without feeling like without feeling pain, and my heart not feeling like it's gonna bounce out of my chest."
Yeah.
And once we kind of pried and everything like that, I was like, "Have you ever thought about like running?" And he was like, "No, just I don't even think it's possible." And I said, "Well, wait, I think it is.
Yeah.
What about a 5K?" And he was like, "There's no way." And then finally, after convincing him, he's like, "All right, let's do it. Like,
Oh
let's
my
go
gosh.
for it." And
Yeah.
then I want to say so 3 months later, he dropped. I think it was close to 4 months later, 60 pounds, and ran his 5K and PR on the day of the 5K with no knee pain or back pain. So that's
That's
a perfect
incredible.
case of reverse engineering. Okay, this is where you're trying to get to. This is what it's going to take. And kudos
That
to
is
him.
incredible. And it's like you were able to allow him to think even bigger than, like, he was like, I just want to get up and down the stairs. But you were able to get him to think bigger than he could even
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Because when you're in pain, all you can think about is getting out of pain, right? So
Right.
you underestimate what you can do, and you underestimate or you overestimate how long it's going to take to get to where you really, really, really want to get to. And so that's where our skill set comes as health professionals, is we understand how long tissue takes to heal. We understand
Yeah.
progressive loading. We understand the demands that it takes to create a program that's needed to allow someone to achieve where they need to go. I always say we're the mechanics of the body, right? So
Yeah.
we have to make sure the vehicle is running a certain way to make sure that whatever race is needed for that car to do, it's doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
One.
I'll give one more. I'll give one more.
Yeah.
So I don't forget. So I had a cool experience where a young lady came in and was like, "Hey, I would love to be able to work with you." She had a knee surgery went wrong with nerve damage down her leg, and she came to me and said, "Look, Kev, I know I'm gonna have to chop my leg off, but I just want to do some prehab. That way, when I get my amputation and um, my now I'm blanking, but the the
Surgery or
yeah, no. The after you get an amputation, you get your
oh, the prosthesis.
prosthesis. There you go. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, prosthesis. So she was like, I just want to be able to know that I'm in the best case scenario when I have the prosthesis. I
Yeah.
said, okay. I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me just make sure. So we did a full eval. I realized that she still has some trace signals throughout her lower extremities. So at
Yeah.
that point, I go, wait a minute.
Let's go.
Let's go. Right. So 13 years she had been the last time that she had really she used to be a half marathon runner as well 13
Yeah.
years ago. And needless to say, 2 weeks after we So she had trouble, like she never took her brace off, like she would never take her brace off, XYZ. 2 weeks
Yeah.
into us training, I'll never forget, she came in, was riding the bike, and she looked at me and said, "Hey, thanks for convincing me that I don't need to chop my leg off anymore."
Oh my gosh, I have
Yeah.
chills.
And then
Oh
and
my
then the best
god.
and then the best part about it was 3 months or 2.5 months or 3 months after us working together, it was the first time she had run without her knee brace, without anything, in 13 years. So, and now she can do things like, so like wear any outfit she wants without a knee brace, right? Like she can do
Yes.
whatever she wants, and now she's
Yes.
thinking like, wait, how far can I really push this? So she went to me, hey, I just want to, and then we got to push it as far as her body can kind of, and is willing to take it. So I'm proud of her for sure.
That is amazing. That is so amazing. And I feel like I have a caveat. Like stuff like this could happen in insurance-based care. It could. It could. But the patient would have to have so much buy-in, and have to just be really, really compliant and it would have to be like everything would have to collide. I just feel like you have the capability to have so many more success stories
Yeah,
because of the ability that you have to just really get to know your clients, really spend the time
yeah,
with them, and give them their, programming.
yeah, 100%. And I've honestly have fought away from the idea of uh, even thinking that insurance-based or traditional-based companies are bad. I think they're
No.
necessary. And
Yes.
I used to fight this. I used to be like, oh man, you know, whatever, F insurance or whatever. And what I realize is, no, this is why I love the fine dining and fast food analogy. It's
Yes.
like you
Yes.
you, you have to have one and the other. My goal and where my mission is, finding those who are willing to invest in their health and giving them an option other than the fast food option. So,
Of course.
you know what I'm saying? So like
Yes.
I no longer fight the I'm trying to treat everybody. No, I
No.
am solely trying to provide the experience and the resources for those who are willing to invest in themselves, but have been stuck in the matrix of the fast food industry for the longest time. And
Of
so
course.
that's what I'm excited about, is just being the resource of a better experience, or a more
Totally.
specific experience, is what I'm, because just like in regular life, like you're like you're gonna need both. Like you need both to understand
Yes.
even one versus the
Of
other.
course. Yeah, and something that I personally have started doing is when I am talking with someone and we're chatting and they're trying to decide if I'm the right person for them,
Hmm.
and there's a barrier, I'm like, that is fine. Like, and it's a real barrier. It's like something that financially right
Yeah,
now I'm doing something else, I can't do it, and I'm like,
yeah,
I will gladly spend my time to find a provider in your area that fits your needs right
hmm,
now, and I still believe that they're going to get better. I still believe it. I'm not
yeah,
here saying like this is, bad for you to go elsewhere. Totally fine
yeah,
with it.
100%. And what's another good analogy I like to use for what we do versus traditional is Nokia versus Apple, right? So you can get a cheap Nokia phone that dials and goes point A to point B, or you can call and it does whatever, but it's super cheap, right?
Yeah.
And then you have an iPhone, which is a tremendous different experience of
Yeah.
communication, right?
Hmm.
You feel more efficient, you feel more accomplished, you feel better when you are using a better device, right? And
Hmm.
so that's the way I compare it. And but you need one versus the other. You have to give the option of, you know, quote unquote, significantly cheaper, right? Versus an option of, no, this is just a better, like, all around experience, and you're going to get
Yeah.
better results. But
Yeah.
you have to be able to give that option.
For sure. Can you tell me a little bit about either one of those clients, kind of what it looked like through their PT experience? Like, how often were you seeing them? Like,
Hmm.
kind of just some of the nuts and bolts of like, what does it look like to work with a solutions-based provider?
Well, first off, I like to tell physicians as well, um, most of our evidence-based practice, so our material, is usually done through traditional based outpatient research,
Of
right?
course. Yeah. Going up.
So So, which is cool because we are used to thinking that certain things take a certain amount of time to get better, right?
Yes.
Now we
Yeah.
know certain tissue, bones take 8 to 10 weeks, we like those kind
Yeah.
of things. We know those are pretty standard. Um, but what I love is traditionally speaking, if you're seeing 2 to 3 people at a time, actually, if you break it down, you're only really getting 20 to 25 minutes of good quality care for those clients, right?
Yeah.
Per hour. You try your best, obviously, but you're really only getting like 20, 30, like if you're good.
Yeah.
Um, versus what I do and what we do is we're seeing somebody one on one specific. So therefore you're getting almost 2, 3 times the care every week,
Yeah.
right? So people get better almost 2 times faster,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
that's one thing I definitely that's so to answer your question, 2 times a week is typically suffice, and then make sure that they always get that third, fourth day of exercise throughout their own, time at home with any questions or anything like that, because they do have a home exercise. And I don't necessarily, by the way, I don't I preach uh, philosophy and I like foundational um, information. So it's not like, hey, do these exact same things, right? It's like, no, you need to understand for you to for you to get better. You have to do this, single leg exercises. You have to do static, dynamic balance. You have to so that way once they finish with you or continue for the rest of their lives, they understand, like they're educated and being like, oh, I have to get better this way, and they can get creative in how they do their exercise however
Yeah.
possible, but at least they understand, like they leave with like a level of like you'll be surprised how much time I spent just education. Like I'll pull up my iPad, I'll
Oh
pull it
yeah.
up on the screen, I'll put up the anatomy, we'll go through it, we'll look up words, definitions, we'll spend a lot more time educating than I can confidently say any other place.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I think that's the biggest thing of just like I am so surprised at the amount of stuff that I know that I take for granted.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, like you didn't know that you're supposed to be training
Hmm.
single leg and you're a runner. And just
Yeah,
giving them a framework of like, oh, this is your, dosage. This is the type of exercises you can do, equips them past the time that they're working with us and allows them to, continue to be successful without having like you or I, next to them.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
Um, do you offer anything past like your time working with them, like a membership or anything?
So we're in the works. I we're in the works of doing something where we're building a. Actually, you'll be the first person to know that we're actually in the works of
Yay.
doing a subscription based membership where it'll be primarily based around primary and secondary prevention.
Okay.
Uh, so if those who don't know, the healthcare system generally only really cares about tertiary prevention, which is
Yeah.
once you're diagnosed and once you have some sort of illness or injury, then healthcare then takes care of you, and that's where that cycle comes. Secondary is when you have little ailments, but you're not quite, diagnosed or have an injury, and that's where the majority of people are, right?
Yeah.
And then primary is when you have nothing wrong with you, your vehicle runs smoothly, and that's where we all
Yeah.
want to be and should always kind of stay at. The subscription that we're doing is going to be based around keeping people in the primary prevention as much as possible, but also knowing that that secondary is a thing, and we're just so it's a subscription built on primary, secondary prevention, and then worst case scenario, if there's unpredictable things that force them to be in that tertiary prevention, they know where to go.
Mhm.
So not quite yet. It will be going live probably. My hope is January 1st will be worst case scenario, but it's coming. So to answer your question, my hope is that we can transfer our clients or our patients to that subscription.
That is so cool. I love it. That's amazing. And I think the power of having a physical therapist, like a doctor of physical therapy, behind some of these subscriptions is just, it's invaluable. And I'm really excited for your patients and
For
your growth.
sure. And if I can say this, actually, I'm very passionate about this.
Yeah.
We are doctors of physical therapy because we have the ability to differential diagnose. So
Yeah.
the ability to go when somebody can come straight off the street, depending on where your state is, right? My state
Yeah.
is Florida, so you can come directly off the street if you have any kind of pain and come to me, and then I can do an assessment to figure out if it's musculoskeletal, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is what we treat versus, oh no, this is something else, and that's where we have to
Right.
refer. So we have the ability to refer out. So my goal is to live in a world where PTs become the primary physician for any type of musculoskeletal injury. The number
Yeah.
one reason why people clock out of work or call out of work is because of low back pain.
Hmm.
And if people realize through education that PTs are the ones that actually treat that, it would not only save a lot of money, save a lot of time, and help people live a lot more happier life. So I would love to live in a world where we actually get to use our doctorate label for something for what it's supposed to be for, which is we're supposed to be the primary physician for musculoskeletal injuries. And the
Hmm.
reason why it's not, people, the reason why it's not is because it became mandatory for us to be doctors around 2008, I believe. And
Yeah.
so therefore it is still new, and the transfer of information of what we can do and how we should be in the healthcare system as doctors has yet to be distributed to um, the main population. So that's my goal, is like to live in that world where we can truly treat primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention, not just tertiary, which is what the insurance based um, business is really based around, because that's what they've only realized and learned how to monetize.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I always have a good day when I have done an eval on my patient.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with them for, however amount of time. And for some reason they still go and get like an MRI or an X-ray or something. And their like impression finding comes in and it says patient is, has a L4, L5 disc herniation with whatever. And then I
Yeah,
pull up my assessment and I say, look at my assessment. This is exactly what I wrote down. This is what you have. I confirmed it multiple weeks ago. That's what we've been
yeah.
treating. And it just goes to show like we are really specific with our evaluations and yeah, the value that we provide is like amazing. It's amazing.
Yes, and I understand the look, I understand why it's not yet, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
if we become the primary physician for musculoskeletal injuries, we're going to take a lot of copays from typical MDs, right? So, it's
yeah.
a battle that we're fighting as a profession, and I think the only way for it to really truly for us to break through is for individuals like ourselves, and we should be proud of what we're doing, and because it's all based on the premise of helping people, and that's super important because as long as we keep that mindset, we realize like what we do is super important and it's super needed. And so I'm proud of you for taking on the challenge of knowing like, yo, you're needed, and you're being a breakthrough for the next person who has the idea and can bounce
Hmm.
ideas off of you. And that's why I say like we're relatively new in a space where we have to be doctors since 2008.
Yeah.
So we're really breaking through and opening doors or forcing doors to be open that have never have. So I'm really proud of you.
You too, Kevin. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Good answer. Okay, I think this is my last question for you, but
Hmm.
like, where can we find more about you? Where can we work with you, maybe, or get
Hmm.
access to your subscriptions that are going to be coming out in the next 2 months? Few months,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And I look forward to letting everyone know what that's about once we're ready to kind of let
Yeah.
that go. But for now, you can go to our website getswishpt.com. We are located in Oviedo, Orlando, Florida. We're a brick and
Okay.
mortar, but if you do want to support, one easy way to do that is if you want to buy merch, which you can find at our store. You can buy any kind of apparel, but that's a cool way to support. It just kind of you know for anyone who's not here, because we are a brick and mortar and
Yeah.
we do see people
Yep.
face to face. But getswishpt.com is the best way to um, get to us, or at Dr. Coach Kev on Instagram. It's the best way. Ask me any questions. I try to be as open and available as I can.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. I think your merch looks cool too. So good
Oh,
job.
thank you. Thank you.
Anything else you want to say? Anything about solutions based PT or PT in general?
Unless you
This
have
is
another
your
four
moment.
hours. No, no. I would just straight up like to say, um, to anyone who's interested in it, just understand the premise of for solutions based, we're working for results.
Yes.
That's what our job is. We clock in every day to get results
Yes.
versus traditional based is um, based around, yes, they want you to get results, but understanding that they get paid for you to come in every single time.
Yep.
And so therefore they are actually incentivized to try to keep you for a certain amount of time. And when and I've even I like to educate patients on this too. Uh, the reason why it's an hour for the majority of the time, because most places, when insurance is, they want to bill 4 units, right?
Yep.
So people, I want you to listen. So when you go to outpatient, they for the first unit they have to treat you for 8 minutes, right? To bill another unit, they have to treat you for up to 23 minutes. To bill
Hmm.
another unit, they have to treat you 38. And then to
Yep.
bill you another unit, they have to technically legally treat you for 53 minutes,
Yep.
right? So therefore, they're not only working for your copay, but they're also working to try to get you to those 53 minutes. So it's
Yep.
not even they're not even saying that they need to do the right exercises. They just have to keep you in the building for 53 minutes,
Yep.
right? Versus solutions based, if we do the exercises we need to do and we get done in 35 minutes, we get
Good.
the heck out of here.
Go
You
home.
know,
Yeah.
exactly. So I want people to really understand the business side of it because yes, we're solutions based and yes, we're a business, but I'm transparent about how I get paid, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I just want people to realize the business side of it and the importance of how things are and how they should be. And I just think we're the next level of how things should be. And I look forward to seeing everything grow. So yeah, thank you for letting me
Yes,
say that.
of course. Honestly, Kevin, I was like, I keep getting these sideways looks of like, what is solutions based PT? And I was like, okay, who are my hype men for solutions based PT? And I was like, Kevin, I'm gonna ask Kevin.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. So
I
thank
love
you
it.
so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. Um, Maybe I'm sure we'll come out to Florida soon. So we'll come hang and
Yeah, got to see the gym.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, I would love to.
It sounds good. You enjoy your
All right, Kevin,
Sunday, okay?
you too. Thanks so much. Bye.